And I want to sit down with my student teacher, Ms. Guzman, before she leaves for today. So I would like to show you right now some clips of the students performing some of their chants. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariely Sanchez and I'm a 4th grade teacher in South Florida. So I'm currently coming to you on Thursday, February 7th, 2019. I'm actually also coming to you at the end of the day because it's been a very long and productive day. I'll show you the agenda so you can see all the things that we were able to get through. We didn't get to one of the things, but that's okay. Tomorrow's Friday and we can piggyback on that and finish that up. And I want to sit down with my student teacher, Ms. Guzman, before she leaves for today and have her reflect on her week because it's been a really good week and a week of learning, a week of excitement. So we're going to get to that in a moment. So let me show you the agenda and then we'll sit down and have a chat. As you can see, here is our agenda. So you can see everything that we got to do. This little symbol just means that we're moving this science lesson to tomorrow. We had already started it, so we're just finishing up taking the maps of all the individual toys for their little toy that they made so that they can go ahead and practice the law of conservation of mass. Ms. Guzman got to teach this awesome math lesson. We got to do this activity that I can't wait to talk to you more about, but I'm going to insert some clips here of the students working on it. So that's the bucketing, evidence, and elaboration strategies lesson that I did today with writing, and I'll talk to you more about that because I think that was really neat. And then this is what we did for reading, and Ms. Guzman wrapped up with some social studies that she's going to continue next week as well. I also moved our team points over here to the top corner of our board so that you can see. And here is the Peopling of the United States collage that Ms. Guzman is having the students put together. And they're almost finished, so they're gonna finish the groups that haven't presented. They're gonna present next week so they can add their little pictures for the collage of all the immigrant groups that have contributed to the United States. Sorry for the interruption. But basically, the students haven't finished adding all the pictures, but once they do, I can't wait to show you how this collage looks. Now, let me show the other thing that I wanted to show you, which is our focus board. So this is our focus board, which is not different, except that I just updated it with our Florida standards, and right here to the right of our Florida standards is our homework for the week. And these are all the Florida standards. These I get from Jason's online classroom. So here is reading, writing, math, science, and social studies. And these are our essential questions that we are currently working on with the students. All right, so right now Ms. Guzman and I are gonna sit down and talk to you so that we can reflect on the week. So let's do that now. Hello, everyone. So we're coming to you here and it's our weekly reflection time. Yes. Weekly reflection time with Ms. Guzman.
Yay!
I guess we should do a jingle or something. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we should.
By the way, I'm trying to convince her to, start her own YouTube channel.
Yes. It's a good documentary type thing, video for you to record your first experiences and something I can look back at. That's what she said.
Yes, for sure. Especially like your first year teaching. I have to have you watch a video that one of my fellow colleagues and now a new YouTuber, teacher tuber, Michelle Griffo. She is Apples and ABCs on Instagram, and she just posted this week a video for tips for student teachers.
Oh, cool.
And I watched it, and it was really good. So Michelle, if you ever watch this, beautiful job. So yeah, it's really good. You got to see it, and we can talk about those tips and see how they may apply to you. So very exciting. So go ahead, Ms. Guzman. Anything that you want to share? Let's call this our glows and grows.
Yes.
What were the glowing moments of the week?
The math game was fun. They were all engaged, and they got really loud, but they loved it. They loved it.
They did love it.
Yeah.
And I think it transferred also into their understanding of chapter 10 before they actually took their test. Like, I haven't finished grading all of them, but the bulk that I have graded so far, they're like getting really good grades on that. So it feels good. Because then you're like, okay, yeah, you like taught and they learned, and the review games kind of help also like reiterate those skills. So that was good.
You're teaching through a game, which is very engaging. That's one of the things I learned a lot when I was taking classes, that when you make lessons into games, or when you make them like extremely engaging, it usually sticks. Yeah, the gamification of education. Yes.
Research it. There's actual articles out there that talk about the gamification of education. So if that's something you may be interested in, you can research those articles. Go to Google Scholar and check those out. So any other glowing moments from this week?
They also really enjoyed the Kahoot game, which was fun. That's another way of gamifying. That's a word, right?
Yeah, gamification.
Gamification of education.
Of education.
Yeah, they also, today I taught the math lesson.
She did. And she gamified her lesson.
Yes, I took exactly what's in the workbook, what the students seen, and I made it into a real life situation, which is that I turned the circles and I'm like, okay, I'm tired of pies. I'm tired of pizzas. I'm tired of just drawing a circle. What can I do that's interesting for the students that's not just drawing a circle? So I thought about planets. I know planets aren't circles, like they're spheres. They're round. They're not circles, but when you show them on a PowerPoint, they're circles.
Flat.
So I did that, and that was fun.
It was fun.
They liked it.
They were like, as soon as she put the PowerPoint up, they were like, whoa.
Yeah. Galaxies.
So they're very engaged in her lesson. It was a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a good idea. And so if you don't know what we're talking about, we just introduced chapter 11, which is angles, and we were looking at fractional parts of a circle and how they relate to the angles and the degrees of angles. And she did a very good job in explaining that, and they had an opportunity to practice that as well. So
yeah. I really love science, by the way, so whenever I can incorporate science into something,
it's awesome.
I like it.
Yeah.
I try every single time. Although it takes a lot of time.
A lot of prep.
But it's worth it.
Yes.
You know, if you have the time and the energy to do it, I would suggest doing it every time you can, because it makes a difference.
Oh, without a doubt. It's always good to try to incorporate any other subject into the current lesson that you're currently teaching, because it's important for them to see the connections that all the lessons have together. So like right now this week we're reading about GM foods, genetically modified foods, and that is a science lesson right there. We're talking about the essential question being, in what ways can advancements in science be helpful or harmful? So we were having great discussions all week with that topic. It was a topic that they were really interested in and incorporated a lot of science. So definitely. It's great when that happens. For sure. So now let's move on to some grows. Areas that we can grow in. What were some areas this week that we both need to grow in?
I always feel it's classroom management.
There's
always something to improve on or tweak or change, because it's like different behaviors every single time, every single day, and like some days are harder than others, but it's all about working towards helping them behave better.
Yeah, and also be able to get the most from the lesson, because we do give them time, obviously, to be themselves and to act funny and have a great time. But there's also times when they need to make sure that they are actively listening or paying attention or completing the assignment, because we also want to give the students a good environment where they can thrive and do the best that they can do. So like, for instance, right now, one of my grows, even though we incorporated the wheel this week, I know that I already... 1 week of incorporating the wheel, I have to swap out some of the rewards and change it for different things, or maybe put less of some rewards than others. But we've already had the students, some of them have already spun the wheel 3 times, And yeah, they're earning those points, and
They're
we're making sure
excited.
they're so excited. We're making sure that we add those dojo points when we see them doing, you know, what they need to do in the classroom, helping each other out. When they get that go sign at the end of the day, they get those 5 points. When they're playing the review games, we also encourage them by giving them those points as well. And we make it even. So the way that I did the Kahoot, I said to them, it doesn't matter who has the most points in the Kahoot. What matters is that you are all actively working and helping each other out, because they did it as a team. Yeah. And if everybody's doing what they need to do, then everybody will get 5 points. So that's how we were able to incorporate that. But yeah, definitely some growing moments in that aspect. Anything else?
Not that I can think of right now.
But now that you were observed today for the first time by your supervisor, how do you feel?
I feel like a load is taken off for the first time, because I have 3 observations, but the first one is always the most difficult, because you don't know what to expect. You don't know what is it that he's gonna look for. Not him specifically, but you know, it's him telling you what you're always supposed to do, not just in this moment. So it helps you to realize things that you might not have realized before. Same thing as her all the time. She always helps. Even if she doesn't need to do it formally, she does help me out, which I appreciate so much.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
That makes me really happy.
I appreciate it so much, because I am so willing to like learn, and every opportunity is like, okay, tell me what I did wrong, what I did right, not what I did wrong, but like what I can improve on, because I'm here to learn. I'm here to make mistakes too, but I want to grow from them. So. And
this is a safe place to make mistakes. So make the mistakes, and we just talk about it. I always start with a leading question, and that obviously leads to a conversation. And she actually ends up coming up with the idea before I even, you know, share my suggestions. So yeah, like she said, she is a really good learner. She asks questions. She's open to feedback, which is something I let your supervisor know. So yeah. Definitely. And I sat with him next to him, and we were having good conversations, and overall he really enjoyed everything that you were doing. So
that makes me feel good.
You're good. You're good.
I tried. I really did.
And that's all that matters. You know, you try, and remember, no lesson is perfect. All you have to do is try your best. And you were able to, in the moment, think of solutions of things that may have come up that you didn't expect. But in the moment, you were able to come up with those solutions, and they worked. And that's all it is. And once you do the lesson, you sit down, you reflect what went well, what didn't go so well, how can I change it next time, and you move forward from there. And that's what's been happening. So I'm very excited. I'm so happy for her. We have an interesting timeline, though.
I know.
So I have to finish most of my observations before spring break. So
that week, right before
the week right before spring break.
It's very tight.
Yeah, I have to do 4 observations, and her supervisor does 3 observations. So we'll be scheduling those and getting them, you know, done in a good amount of time, and giving her the feedback that she needs so that she can continue to move along.
So excited.
Yeah, it's very exciting, because he even told me today that if you get everything checked off before the deadline, and I think that's a reason why he wants you to be done before spring break, that if you get everything checked off, you can get a job right away before graduating. So
I would love to.
That's why I think he wants you to. Yes. So we're going to continue moving forward and seeing what happens. So very exciting.
Yay.
So that has been our little session of reflection time with Miss Guzman. Oh, and one thing. I introduced Miss Guzman to our karaoke mic.
I loved it. When she presented it to the kids, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I want that in my classroom.
It is way cool.
I've never seen that before. These are the things that you only see from Miss Sanchez. Like,
not only in my class, I learned this from other teachers. And there goes my earring. I'm so leaving that in the video, because bloopers are so much fun. But yeah, another way to engage students, bringing really some novelty items like a karaoke mic.
Yeah, and you can use it for so many things.
Oh, so many things.
It can help them to come up to participate. It can help them to want to do better in their writing because they know they would have to share and act and stuff.
Yeah, which
so it motivates them.
Which I've shared before how they used this year and in my previous vlogs too for my class last year. So yeah, one way that they share their writing was with this, but you can use it for so much more because it's also a Bluetooth speaker, so it connects to like my phone, so I can play sound effects or music, so it comes out through here. So very cool little gadget to include in your class. All right, so
love it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Guzman. And now I'll get back to showing you some other things like that writing activity that we did today. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so today the students were working on an activity called Bucketing the Evidence and Elaboration Strategies. And I showed you those clips that you saw earlier. So I want to show you a more close-up look as to what they were doing. So this bucketing activity is something that I learned at one of the professional development activities that I attended for my district last year. And this one is based on our Ella Fitzgerald informational essay. So what I did is I had the students think about the prompt again. They already wrote their essays for this, so this is one of my mini lessons because I noticed that they were not addressing the prompt correctly. So I want them to be able to address the prompt and be able to tell me what answers the prompt. So these buckets represent the answers to the prompt. So the prompt was about how Ella Fitzgerald was important to the history of jazz. So I asked them that in the form of a question. So how was she important to the history of jazz? So they came up with super talented. So she was super talented and people still remember her. And that's basically what this group also did. People still remember her. She was a jazz legend. So what I told them is make sure you title your bucket with an answer to that question. And in your bucket, you're going to find 4 pieces of evidence that support this claim. And the same thing here. And that's what this team did as well. Every person in the team, so there were 4 people per team, got 2 different sticky notes. And they each had to find 1 evidence that supported this claim and 1 evidence that supported this claim for a total of 4 different types of evidence, and they all had to be different. Once they were done with that, I gave them a smaller Post-it. And this Post-it, they were asked to elaborate on that evidence and connect it back to the prompt. So in order to help them elaborate on the evidence, I told them what elaboration was and that it wasn't always a personal connection to the topic. And I also showed them my elaboration sentence starters, which I'll show you right now. These are the elaboration sentence starters that I put on the board so that they can see different ways that they can start their elaboration sentences to tell me more about their evidence, the evidence they picked, and how that attaches to the title of their bucket and how that overall attaches to the prompt. And this is part of my new resource that I have on my TPT store, which is Elaboration Strategies, and I'll leave a link down below in case you are interested in getting a copy for yourself. So that's basically what I did this morning with them in our writing lesson. And at first, when they heard that we were gonna do writing, they were like, oh man. But then when they got engaged in the activity, they were working in groups, they were using all the colorful Post-its. By the way, color activates the brain. So whenever you have an opportunity to incorporate color into your lessons or have students manipulate colors in whatever product you are having them work on, incorporate it because it activates the brain. And they absolutely enjoyed this activity. They actually thought it was a lot of fun. So I hope that this can then be transferred to them going on to one of their body paragraphs in Ella Fitzgerald and revising that paragraph. So I'm not having them revise the entire essay. I'm having them just pick one body paragraph using this strategy and revising that body paragraph to make sure it addresses the writing prompt. And that's what I wanted to share with you. And that's all I have for today, Thursday. So now I'm going to take you on to Friday. Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. So today we are going to go ahead and work on a couple of different things. And I did have some things to talk to you about that have just left my mind. So I'm going to brainstorm later on and write a list of those things so I can have a chat with you. So I'll definitely get back to you on those topics. It's almost time to let the kids in. So I'm going to finish up a couple of different things and then I'll check back with you later. All right, so now it's the end of the day and I'm sitting here to just kind of let you know how our day went. So this morning, the students went ahead and had some time to work in their houses, working on the lyric lab, which I'll show you in a couple of minutes how that looks like in Flocabulary. So as I had mentioned at the beginning of this week, I wanted to give them time to meet with their houses so that they can create a lyric that was about the core essence of each house. And each member of the team had to come up with 2 lines of lyrics, and they were kind of trying to make like couplets to make sure that the ending of each 2 lines rhymed. And what I love about the Lyric Lab in Flocabulary is that it allows them to then choose a beat or a type of music to go with that so that they can then present it. So I would like to show you right now some clips of the students performing some of their chants. So I'll put it in right here.
Rafiki, way to go! Kindness we all show. We are rude, bro. We go with the flow. We are very positive. We are caring, happy, and loyal. Rafiki, house of the kind. We will never leave you behind. If you fall, we'll be there to push you back up with care. We are river and we're here to dream. And the inspiration is just our theme. We have the strength to protect you, pursue our breakthrough. We are driven to succeed and we have a need to lead. We're coming in like Thor in a hurricane. We come in the domain to contain our game. The Lord, hear our roar. We're soaring to the door, so hear our roar. Unity is our main thing, peace is what we always bring. Why are we so rad? Cause we avoid being mad. Kahoot City, we're the good, we're the benevolent, doing what we should. Yeah, we're humble, we stay out of trouble. We are loving givers, everyone's a winner. Peace, honesty, healers and defenders. We are Kahoot City and we never surrender.
And I would also like to show you how I went about, or how I had them use Flocabulary so that they can create those lyrics. So I will include that little video clip right here as well. So in Flocabulary, since it doesn't have the Lyric Lab by itself, I decided to go ahead and have the students just go to a particular video. In this case, I chose life skills, social emotional learning, and then joining in and including others. Then I had them go down to the Lyric Lab. And this is what I was talking about. So I told them not to worry about these directions, but every time they write 2 lines, or they write at least 1 line, so I put a learner never quits. And then because I wrote quit, it gives me rhymes. Let me just take this one out right here. It gives me rhymes for quits. So that's why I put to learning she commits. And then you click next and then they keep writing. So every student had to write 2 lines of lyric according to what their house represented. Once they had all their lines of lyric, they can then choose one of these type of beats. And a lot of them chose the dreamy one. And then the other one was the spiritual one. So basically they had that playing in the background, and I did print out the lyrics that they created so that everyone had a copy of the lyric as they were performing, and they had this music playing, and that is how they performed their house chants today for House Spirit Day. And our winner for today was Kahoot, the House of the Benevolent. I think the kids did a great job. So the next time they get together in their houses, they're going to be working on a poster that represents their house. So that's basically what I have the students do this morning as part of their do now, since Friday is kind of like our day to either catch up on work or do a fun activity in the morning before we get our day started. And then after that, we went ahead and started doing our reading lesson, which ended up causing so many different conversations. It was about nuclear energy, but we were talking about atoms because the article talked about how nuclear energy comes from splitting the atom. And that conversation prompted us to talk about how the structure of atoms looked as compared to the solar system. And it ended up being an interesting science lesson. One of the students told me, Miss Sanchez, you should have worn your shirt today that says science has me shook, because we're shook. And I'll show you the video that I showed them, which is great, because it starts with a person laying down on the Google headquarters lawn, and then it zooms out all the way into the universe, and then it zooms back in back to the person, but then it zooms into the person's eye, and it goes all the way to an atom and how small it looks, but it's a lot of similarities to how the universe looks outside. So it was a mind-blowing experience, and that was really cool that we were able to make that connection. So as we were doing that, we were following our spade strategy, which I will show you how that looks in a moment. And we were able to go ahead and take annotations. The cool thing is that after we took annotations, after we had our discussion and we understood the text, when we flipped the paper to the back with the questions, each question, the students already knew how to answer it because of the extensive analysis of the text that we did along with our annotations. So that was a beautiful lesson indeed. After that, we went to lunch, they went to music, we came back, the houses performed their chants, and then we had our math lesson where I taught the students how to use a protractor in order to measure angles and draw angles. Now, this is a new skill for them, so a lot of the students were having fun and they really enjoyed measuring and finding angles, but of course some of the students needed some assistance and some practice, so I will be continuing to do that next week and give them different practice problems here and there so they can have that opportunity. I also went on the Common Core Sheets website and I printed this practice sheet out so that they can practice measuring the angles using a protractor, because under FSA assessment, they're not going to have actual protractors that they're going to use by hand. They're going to have them like this in a picture, and they're going to have to know how to read the angle. So what I tell them is to first determine whether it's obtuse or acute, and depending if it's obtuse or acute, you either read the small number less than 90 or the bigger number greater than 90 to determine the angle measurement. So obviously these appear to be obtuse, and this is acute, and this is definitely obtuse. So they will definitely figure that out first and then find the angle measurement. Of course, this is a new skill, so they do need practice. And that's basically where we ended. We did not have time for science today, so I'll just have to make sure I touch upon that next week. And then we ended up having our indoor recess time, which so many students got to spin the wheel again. And I'm actually going to change up a couple of the rewards. I think I mentioned this before, so that it can make it a lot more interesting and novel for the students. And that has been our week. I do want to have to say that this morning I was feeling really, really tired. But I have to say that I have heard somewhere that if you keep saying, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired, your brain hears that and it will react to you being tired. And then you'll feel even more tired. So I started saying to myself, it's gonna be a good day, it's gonna be a positive day, you have the energy to go on, and I was able to not feel as tired. So what we say to ourselves is actually very important. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you. Let me bring the paper that has the annotations so that you can see what I'm talking about. This is the paper right here. So it's on nuclear energy and whether it's safe or not. And as you can see, I have all these notes and marginal annotations and underlining, selective underlining. And this is all we did. I even had them write the SPADE strategy acronym going down so that they knew what each letter stood for. And we listed our text features up here. And this is me drawing the atom, which prompted our conversation about the solar system looking like an atom, because it does. The nucleus is in the center. And then around the nucleus, we find the electrons, the protons, and the neutrons. So that was a really great conversation. And on the back are the questions that they're going to finish answering next week. So that was a really engaging lesson just from that little bit. I didn't get to do my Writing a Rainbow of Details lesson with the Ella Fitzgerald paragraph that they're then going to take into their writings so that they can then revise a body paragraph, but we'll do that next week. So that's about it. That's a wrap for this week in my classroom. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought or any questions you may have. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications so you don't miss any future videos. I hope you have a beautiful, magical day, and don't forget to smile.
Hello dreamers, wishers, and magical thinkers. Thank you so much for making it to the very end of this video and for showing your support. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do so by clicking on my picture down here. You can also check out my latest videos here and here. Don't forget to believe in the magic that's inside you, because you are capable of great things. See you next time.